Magnus sites. Get over and follow the Snarky J. Because she knows what she's talking about. Now, let's see what she thought of Superman. This should be fun.
When you think of your ideal Superman movie, does it involve him getting his ass kicked for about 90 minutes and a dog stealing the show? No?
No!
2025, that's what you get anyway.
You damn right!
Hi y'all, Snarky J Cosplay here. Do not adjust your TV sets. I'm well aware that my appearance today is a little bit different, but tonight I got invited to an early special screening of Superman 2025. It's currently Monday the 7th, and I'm recording this at midnight. I got out of the theater a couple of hours ago, I put together my review, I kind of formulated my thoughts. For those that are watching this before having seen the movie, don't worry. This is going to be a spoiler-free review up until the end. I will let...
If she didn't like this, this will be her last invite to an early screening of a WB movie.
You know when we get into that spoiler section, but for now you are totally safe. I've kept this free of spoilers.
Totally.
I give y'all my thoughts on James Gunn's new Superman. Superman 2025 is a film that could have been a lot worse, but I think what is so frustrating about it is that it could have been a lot better. It's a film that is mostly propelled by...
Could have been a lot worse than what that was. I don't know about that. But oh yeah, it could have been a whole hell of a lot better.
By dizzying camera work, tonal whiplash, and a plot that's almost as bloated as its ensemble. David Corenswet, honestly, despite a flawed script, brings a gentle earnestness to the character that really made me feel like I was watching the Superman. But unfortunately, for so much of the other things in this movie, I kind of felt like, what the hell did I just watch? My rating for Superman 2025 is a 4.5 out of 10. It's a visually decent, occasionally
You damn right.
but ultimately overstuffed.
She gave it a little bit higher than me because I gave it a 2 out of 5. If it was out of 10, it'd be a 4 out of 10. So she gave a half a point more than I did. So she liked it a smidge more than I did, which, depending on how you're looking at it, isn't saying much. We pretty much have the same view.
First outing for David Corenswet's Superman. Those great performances unfortunately can't save it from tonal inconsistencies, weird direction, and of course that signature James Gunn thing that just doesn't appeal to me and I don't think works for Superman. I would have given this a higher score had they left the dog at home and not taped the camera to a Roomba. So let's get right into it. My issue with this movie is that the plot still tries to do too much. It wants to really tie into modern day and make you feel like the Superman is grounded in our reality, which is a little unsettling and unpleasant at times.
It's too goofy, vibrant, and hokey to be grounded in our reality, really. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, they put social media in there, but goofed everything else up. So it's like, oh, well, there's something from our society in there, our time, okay, but it's so goofy. You know it's a fantastical Silver Age, goof fest. There's good comic booky, and there's bad comic booky. This was bad comic booky.
And there are a lot of moving pieces to this. There's a lot of different elements, and it honestly kind of feels like too many for a first Superman solo film. I feel like this movie is so bloated in ways that they really just could have cut down when writing the script for this. It's almost structured like an action sandwich where it's just battle after battle after battle, and then every once in a while some melodrama, and then Superman is usually getting wrecked. That's probably one of my biggest issues with this film. I'm not a Zack Snyder fangirl. I couldn't stand what Zack Snyder did with the Superman character.
We'll have to talk about this, Snarky.
I'm not a big Superman person to begin with, but when I see Superman, I want to see that hopeful guy, the big blue Boy Scout. I want him to be the symbol of hope that he should always be, especially in contrast to his fellow heroes, to the villains. I like to see Superman win. And this Superman is body slammed, face slammed, shoulder checked. I mean, I was half expecting somebody to pull out a folding chair and just bash it over his head. Sure, it's good to see Superman.
I would love that. I would love that in the middle of it. If all of a sudden Superman got hit in the head with a chair by Ultraman and Jim Ross happened to be there on the street. My God! And Superman has been broken in half. I would have loved that. I would have gave the movie 1 point extra if I had seen a scene like that.
Be a little vulnerable, right? I mean, he's boring if he's too perfect. But this kind of like toes the line.
Not to me, but I'm just like that, you know? I remember in Steven Seagal movies, he would almost never have a challenge. When Steven Seagal showed up, you wasn't stopping him. You know what I'm saying? And I loved that about his movies. He was an unstoppable wrecking machine in his heyday. I think the first movie I saw him lose was basically that. I forgot it was an Air Force One or whatever. He saved the people and, you know, he got blown out the joint. But, you know, as far as getting beat up or you were never concerned that he was going to lose a fight. You know what I mean?
In between flawed and like, holy dude, I feel bad for you. Why are you getting your ass kicked in your own movie so much? I just really wanted to see him win at this point because I felt bad. There are some things within the plot that feel kind of CW-ish, and I really wanted to see it so much better than it ended up being.
One long CW episode.
At least to me. So let's talk about the tone. This is so very clearly a James Gunn project. Signed by James Gunn. Like James Gunn.
The tone is... You know what the tone is? Remember when you're watching The Wizard of Oz and she gets the Oz and it goes from black and white to the vibrant, cartoony, color-saturated, fantastical land of Oz? That's the tone. That's the tone.
His signature tone and his style are absolutely undeniable through this film. And unfortunately, I think James Gunn's style is best in small doses or when it's not...
Huh? Yes, I was trying to click my heels 3 times to go back home.
Superman, and I felt that way when I saw the trailers, and I feel like my fears were kind of confirmed. This movie has moments where it wants to be silly, and then it wants to be serious, and it wants to be emotional, and it wants to be meta, and it wants to be Guardians of the Galaxy but with capes. It wants to literally have it all, but as a result it kind of undercuts itself consistently. Almost every emotional beat has to get cut short by a one-liner, some kind of joke, a reference, or again, the antics of Crypto the Super Dog. Buy the plush for your kids. They'll love it. I told you,
the bad dog jokes of Crypto not listening, and he is, you know, we already know why he's not a Labrador or whatever, but he's supposed to be smarter than most dogs. He does not appear to be that in this. So we've got a different breed that's mentally challenged. He's a bad dog, and they make the joke every half hour. It was just like the goats in Thor: Love and Thunder. That type of in-your-face joke that they thought was so funny, where it was funny the first couple of times, and then you were surprised that they kept doing it. That's what I mean.
James Gunn always seems, but especially in this movie, so hell-bent on imprinting his own personal ideas, his own brand, his own experiences onto things that don't always need that specific signature. When the story calls for something a little more grounded and sincere, he just refuses to let it happen because he's gotta be James Gunn. One of the big things that honestly pleasantly surprised me about this movie.
And I keep thinking back to the fact that the studio had him cut 25 minutes out because it was too silly and people thought it was too goofy in the test screenings. It would have probably gotten a 1 out of 5 from me if that 25 minutes had been kept in.
movie were the visuals. The trailers had me bracing for borderline unfinished CGI and some really wonky imagery. And even though the suit, which is one of the main visuals of this film, didn't get any better, and I still don't like it, the CGI looks a lot more polished.
It did.
And there are actually scenes in this film. You do still have some of the flat superhero lighting. You're always going to get that. But there are scenes in this film that show genuine cinematic ambition that surprised me with how
just some shots that are cool.
There are a lot of moments in this film where it tries to be visually striking and actually succeeds. But, and this is a big but, behave in the comments section, I know you. The amount of shaky cam and spinning shots in this movie, someone please get James Gunn a tripod and a chill pill. Some of the shots feel like watching a GoPro strapped to a squirrel. I mean, I went in to watch Superman and I left honestly feeling dizzy and disoriented. Whether it's the dog, Superman, any of the other heroes, or any of the other baddies in the film, by the
that
end
was
of
genuinely
my eyes
funny,
were-
Snarky.
And speaking of the dog, because I've spoken so much about the dog, we have to talk about Crypto, or better yet, how to ruin a movie in 3 seconds. Look, I'm gonna be real with you. I was looking at this scruffy-ass, poorly behaved dog, and I can't tell you that he doesn't remind me a little bit of my dog. And I know that that is what James Gunn and the people in this film are counting on. That people are going to look at Crypto and go, ha, my dog's a dick too. And they're going to make millions, and they're going to sell the popcorn buckets and the plushies and the shirts and all that I understand. I get it. But I
had a dog. He passed away a little while ago, and he was bad. It didn't remind me of him at all, and even if it did, I'm like, yeah, mine does it. It still doesn't work. You know what I mean? I can see, yeah, I have a girlfriend too. I'm gonna watch certain movies. Oh, my girlfriend does that. That doesn't make me love the movie and want to buy the toys. You know what I'm saying? Let me get the action figure of the girlfriend because my girlfriend does that. You know, whatever.
Still feel like when I watch Superman, I don't need to feel like I relate to him that much. Because he's Superman.
I never do.
I don't need to go,
to relate.
My dog's an asshole too. No, his dog could just be great. Yeah. And so the problem is that Crypto the Super Dog is admittedly a dog.
And Superman has plenty of qualities that make you relate to him because he's actually written by human beings. Kryptonians don't exist. He's a fantasy character that's written by human beings. So he has characteristics that we have. That's why he's relatable. Just like every other character is relatable. In some way, shape, or form. Because they're written by human beings. We have no other reference of, you know what I mean? So, it is what it is. They're all relatable to some extent. Some more, some less.
Horrible. For like 5 minutes. His entire shtick, honestly for me, got really old really fast. Because his whole thing there is just being like a chaos gremlin.
Told you.
His entire existence is just to wreck emotional beats and then piss on anything that could be taken seriously. I honestly, in the beginning, I was like, all right, dog's cute, he's fine, he reminds me of my little guy. And then by the end of it, I kind of felt like the movie would stop every time this dog would return to the screen. Imagine really trying to take any heartfelt or serious moment seriously and then having it be interrupted by, oh, the dog bit something. Like, it gets a little old. Performances, though, I have to tell you, David Corenswet blew me away. I liked Henry Cavill. I loved Henry Cavill. But there were moments in this film where I was watching David...
Did he really mean that he blew you away? Or you just mean he was good? I think today I see a lot of the younger generation using words like, this was absolutely amazing. And I don't feel like they really meant amazing. I feel like they're embellishing. I feel like I felt like he played a good Superman. But I like Henry Cavill. I don't find him amazing at playing Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like the younger generation does that a lot.
David Corenswet. And I think he had a bigger challenge because when I saw Henry Cavill, I said, that's Superman. David Corenswet had to kind of win me over because I just felt like Henry Cavill did a great job with the character. Even if I didn't like what Snyder did, I loved Henry Cavill. David Corenswet had to come up from that for me. And there were moments where I looked at him, and it's not just what he looks like. Yeah, okay, he looks a little bit like Henry Cavill.
So he
Henry
moves.
Cavill looks like Superman. It's a whole thing.
That's how he moves.
But you can see it. It's this thing that comes from within him that rises above him. where you look at him and in his smile and in his eyes and in his gaze, you see Superman.
I know
the
what she
script
means.
that he's
Yeah.
given needed to be so much better.
Better,
But
yes.
my God,
If it was written
David
better, he'd have been
Cornstalk
better.
F***ing rocks as Superman. Yes, there are a lot of moments where he's sort of...
He can't rock as Superman for me until he gets a better suit. I'm sorry. It's just looking at anybody you can think of that is the ish at what they do. Put them in a stupid suit. I'm sorry. You can't be the man with the wrong outfit. You know what I mean?
Bordering on whiny, and he's this younger, inexperienced Superman that is very different from Henry Cavill's, but he sells this more human, more sympathetic, gentle part of Superman and Clark Kent that he's like a caramel. It just melts in your mouth. It's great. I really like David
Female
Cornstalk
perspective there
as Superman. I also want to give flowers to Rachel Brosnahan, who really brings a great energy to Lois Lane. She is every bit the intrepid reporter. She's charming, she's stubborn, she has a great energy with Clark Kent. And what I really like is I think she delivers a nuanced performance, and the script allows
Still
her
nobody beats
to
Margot
be
Kidder.
a nuanced, great version of Lois Lane that feels classic and never feels like just another cog in the modern era girl boss machine. The scene stealer here is Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, who is absolutely...
Oh, he's a steam sealer. That's what I was gonna say. He's a scene stealer. So he wasn't that for me at all. Yeah, he was okay. You know what I mean? He was a letdown. I actually thought he was gonna be a shining star for me in this movie, but he wasn't.
Brutal. He's frightening sometimes. I think he brings a fantastic
He acts like a
energy
little
to character.
kid.
He's somehow unsettling and charismatic and incredibly layered. I don't entirely
He
love
is
his
unsettling.
arc in this film, and I'll get into that in just a few minutes in the spoiler part of this review, but the performance was fantastic. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner.
It's fantastic!
As Mr. Terrific.
Where'd I
They
get
brought
that from?
so much personality and charm and unique characters to the story than I actually expected.
Let me see if she
and they
liked Hawk Girl.
incredibly welcome
Nobody liked Hawk
contributions
Girl.
to the story and both the really stacked cast. I ended up leaving the film wanting to know more about Mr. Terrific and struggling between either wanting to punch Guy Gardner in the face or get a bowl cut and travel the world with him. So the final verdict here. Look, I wasn't the biggest
She didn't say
fan
nothing about Hawk Girl.
of Zack Snyder's borderline emo, super dark Superman. I went into this wanting something brighter, something more Superman, that symbol of hope, the bright colors. I didn't want James Gunn's sense of humor, but I went in ready for a fresh take on Superman, the Superman of this generation. And what I got was Superman being tossed around like a rag doll for almost 2 hours straight. There's a good Superman movie buried somewhere in this film, pretty deep down. And David Cornstalk is a strong enough lead to carry that story. But James Gunn's obsession with the self-aware humor, with the CGI shots shaking all over the place, and his absolute refusal to let serious moments breathe, all those things really just bog this movie down for me. And what we end up with is a movie that's honestly way more loud than fun, sometimes more frustrating than emotionally impactful. A very tonally confused film that for me did not quite stick the landing. Now I'd like to get into a full spoiler breakdown. I want to nitpick some stuff, I want to talk about the plot. I'm really going to get into this, so I am warning you right now, the next few minutes are going to be all spoilers. I know some people listen to me while they drive or while they clean the house. If that's you, please stop whatever you're doing, pause the video.
I wonder what Snarky's real name is. She calls herself Snarky J, so I'm assuming her name is J something. Jaylene, Jamie, I can't think of that now.
Exit, go watch the movie, do something. I am going to spoil this film in the next few minutes. Please do not get mad at me in the comments if you don't turn me off in time. This is your last warning. You've been warned. Let's go. So this film does in fact kick off with a very untriumphant crashing of Superman into the snow in the Arctic. He's just been defeated by a character called the Hammer of Boravia, which is one of the main fictional nations in this very on-the-nose geopolitical mess. Superman is under a lot of scrutiny and fire on social media after he stopped the invasion of Jahanpur by the nation of Boravia. Almost everyone is mad at him for not staying in his lane, including Lois Lane, who grills him during an interview, and he does in fact lose his shit during that interview in a sort of uncharming, kind of childish way. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that geopolitical conflict in a few minutes, but first let's talk about Lex Luthor. Of course, he's a tech billionaire, but they elaborate on the fact that he has a cultish following. He, throughout this film, you come to find out, is quite literally running a social media smear campaign
Elon Musk.
during which one of the hashtags
a lot of people are saying he's Elon
which
Musk.
really pisses Superman off. And he has literal monkeys in a pocket universe typing things all day and stirring
mad too the
on
way they're typing.
internet. Wow, I've never heard stories of political influences being pushed around by external parties looking to win favor one way or another by stirring fake controversy on social media. This is such a novel concept. Anyway, we all know that Lex Luthor just hates Superman. So he hates Superman, he's jealous of him, he wants to know.
So what do you guys know of the reason why Lex hates Superman? See, when I was growing up, my mom didn't buy me comic books. I started buying them later on when I got a little bit older, around 4th or 5th grade, something like that. But before that, my introduction to why he hated Superman was the Super Friends. And apparently when Superman was Superboy, him and Lex Luthor were friends. And Lex Luthor was actually working on a cure for his weakness to kryptonite. And one day, though, there was a fire in Lex's lab, because he was a scientist. And Superman went to save him, and he blew out the flames. But when he blew out the flames, the smoke blew in Lex's face, and it made all of his hair fall out. And he hated Superman from that moment on. And that is the reason why they're mortal enemies.
Our big blue Boy Scout out of the sky, and the social media campaign is the first step towards that. He has a secret motivation here, and we find out about the secret motivation through, I'm not kidding you, a series of selfies taken by his abused ex-girlfriend. They are able to find all these clues in the backgrounds of her selfies, because she takes pictures conveniently like this in front of every single relevant thing that Lex Luthor is doing. He's basically almost donating arms to the nation of Boravia so that when the war against Jahanpur gets worse and they ultimately get annihilated, he can take a portion of the land that they're going to claim and he can occupy it and become king.
Another land
of his own
scheme.
area. His cult-like tech followers.
Another real
follow
estate
him over
queen.
there, and he can have his own place and he can be king. Wow. Tech billionaires with cult-like followings? Never heard of him. Sorry, Superman crash landed here with a message from his parents. Jor-El is played by Bradley Cooper. That was weird. So the latter half of the message was damaged when he crash landed here, but the first half is this whole thing about, you're here to serve the people of Earth, do good for them, protect them, blah, blah, blah. The latter half, again, is destroyed. Lex Luthor manages to make it into the Fortress of Solitude, and with the help of the engineer, who interestingly enough has an accent, but has to remind you that she speaks Spanish because at the beginning of the movie, she curses exclusively in Spanish. Mierda. I would never remember that somebody was Hispanic if they didn't throw in a Spanish palabra every now and then. Palabra means word. I'm being very meta about this. Please laugh. It is almost 1 a.m. Anyway, Lex and his people...
They do. They have Spanish people do that in movies. Remember in Transformers, the first one, where the dude's talking to him on, you know what I mean? And he's talking to him in English. Then he starts talking about Gator and how his mom makes Gator, and he starts speaking in Spanish. Like, I don't know anybody that does that, and I know a lot of Puerto Rican people, specifically in this area. They don't do that. They don't do that when they're talking to me. You know what I'm saying? And if they do speak Spanish, it's usually when they're telling me about something. Like, you know, we went over here and they had, and they'll say it. They'll be like, and, you know, they had, we call it this. And what it is it's, you know, meat with rice. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, they explain to me what it is. They don't just speak Spanish and expect me to just keep listening and understand them. You know what I'm saying?
Fix the rest of the message, and the rest of the message is basically Jor-El and Lara telling Kal-El, like, yeah, the people of Earth are stupid. We've sent you to rule over them. You should rule with no mercy. Annihilate anybody who gets in your way. Spread your seed, or whatever. Something weird like that. Some mixed messaging. Lex Luthor publishes this online, and everybody turns on Superman. Oh my god, he's got a secret harem. That's a whole thing. They make a joke about his secret harem like 3 different times. Clark is destroyed. He's distraught. How could my parents be this insane? He has a whole identity.
That's where they throw the can at his head.
The whole way that Lex Luthor got into the Fortress of Solitude, we come to find out, is because he took a hair from Superman and cloned him and made Ultraman, who I honestly thought was Henry Cavill at first. It's scary how much...
Did he actually say that he took a hair from him in the movie? I remember in Superman 4 that's what happened. I could have swore that they didn't tell how he made the clone. Well, maybe they did, but I remember... I saw another review where someone was like, they don't even tell like how they came up with him. And they talked about Superman 4. They was like, in Superman 4, they showed you actually what he did and how he cloned him. So, yeah, but whatever.
Much these guys look alike sometimes. There ends up being like this excruciatingly long battle between these two at the end. Fighting anything in this movie takes absolutely forever, especially that big kaiju looking thing that was just an experiment by Lex Luthor to be a distraction. I know I'm definitely missing some stuff here, but my idea is not to give you everything about the movie. I just want to hit the major points. Again, it's almost 1 a.m. I couldn't take notes into this place because I couldn't have my phone at this reading. Bear with me, guys. I'm doing my best for you. When Lex broke into the fortress to do the whole message thing, he also kidnapped Crypto. And he took him to a pocket universe. When he released that video and a whole bunch of controversy started, Superman ultimately decides to turn himself into the US government. Unfortunately for Superman, the US government then turns him back over to Lex Luthor, pretty much. In Lex Luthor's pocket universe, where he imprisons Superman and then leaves Elemental Man to weaken Superman with kryptonite in a little glass box, like a beta fish being ignored by a 12-year-old, Lex has a bunch of other people kidnapped in this pocket universe for other nations. He's got an annoying ex-girlfriend. He's got a lot of people in boxes here. But Elemental Man isn't super keen on keeping Superman weak, but they have his green baby kidnapped. I'm so surprised I haven't already seen action figures of this green baby. So he eventually stops using kryptonite on him, and he makes a little baby son, and they get out and they take the baby, and there's this like 6-minute scene of juggling the baby and falling through atoms, and there's a black hole. I'm just as lost as you are. It becomes so...
It gets stuck in a river of 8-bit Nintendo graphics. It's
convoluted, messy, and confusing that I felt like I was looking at my 12th grade calculus homework. There's some other stuff that goes on. Eventually there's another like royal ass kicking, and Lois eventually takes Clark back to Smallville. Now when he faced off and did all that stuff in the portal started opening a rift. It's opening in the earth, and people are gonna fall through it, and the universe is gonna basically be destroyed. And Lex is like, cool, if Superman dies, I'm cool with that. Superman's gotta go take care of Lex. All the while,
basically how he was.
Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific, they had to stop the invasion of Jarhanpur by the nation of Baravia. Let's reiterate that for a second. Baravia is a rich nation with a leader that is incredibly passionate and unsettled. At first, he and the people of Baravia are lying and saying that they are getting involved in the conflict in Jarhanpur because they are trapped by an oppressive regime. Jarhanpur is a desert nation rich with oil. And so it turns out the people of Baravia really just want to take their oil, their land, and by the final invasion scene, they literally are saying they want to kill all the people of Jarhanpur. Was that supposed to be commentary? Sure. Was it subtle? Not even a little. And look, I'm not saying superhero movies have to be apolitical completely, but if I wanted something this on the nose, I'd just go watch a Vice documentary. And the problem with it is that as a movie, it won't even let itself be taken that seriously. When Lex is defeated, and Mr. Terrific is the one to stop that rift from forming. He's a great character throughout this whole thing. Superman comes for Lex Luthor's shiny dome and rocks him. And at this moment, there is a monologue delivered by Superman about his own humanity. And I've already told you, I acknowledge I'm not a Superman fan. I'm way more of a Batman person. But I'm sitting there, and for a minute, I was almost tempted to go, oh my god, this is so corny. And then I sat there and I listened. And
I said that 1,000 times during the film.
really listened, and I looked at David Cornsweet, and I listened to what the script was saying, and I said, this isn't corny, this is Superman. It was so weird. I had spent 2 hours watching a movie that I really didn't enjoy, and I had chills, because I was sitting there like, this guy's a symbol of hope. This is beautiful. This is inspiring.
Really?
And then the f***ing dog jumps up out of nowhere and just attacks like
that was the part we saw, like, yeah, I hurt and I'm sad sometimes. I make mistakes. You know what, Lex? That's what makes me human. No, that in part didn't work for me.
Like a literal f***ing ragdoll. Do you
At all.
I have watched a movie that I really didn't like all that much, and I
It was other parts that made me feel like that he has there were certain glimmers of light that was like, wait, okay, I see it right there. I think if they had made it less jokey, it'd have been better.
And as I was talking to you about it,
how much
like, I started getting chills as I described how I felt watching that. That's crazy. I'm not a Superman stan. And it was this moment where I was like, holy shit, that's Superman.
She's having a moment
get
here,
it.
man.
And then the
I was sitting there like
comes
this.
out of nowhere and ruins the moment. Why would you have it ruined by the dog? Why wouldn't James Gunn just let Superman be Superman?
And then when Crypto jumped on him, I was just like, yeah, that's right. Him up, Crypto. Get him, boy. Get him. And I was just ready to go. I was like, okay, movie's gonna be over soon.
Jay here. I don't know how I completely forgot to mention this last night, but it was probably because it was 1 a.m. and I was exhausted. Supergirl is, in fact, in the last few minutes of this film. By the time everything is over, she comes to pick up Crypto, except the way that she arrives to pick up Crypto is drunk and busting into the Fortress of Solitude, stumbling around. So according to Superman, she loves to go to planets with red suns so that she can go get drunk. That's literally her whole thing. She is a drunken party girl.
Yeah, there were people that were asking in other reviews, they're like, well, if she goes to places with red suns, she'll lose her powers. So how does she get back? Does she have a ship to go? Or, well, in certain, ones, if they're exposed to a red sun, they don't always lose all of their power right away. So it would depend, you know what I mean? So if you're just slowly losing it, as long as you don't party for too long, you can fly back.
That's what James Gunn has decided to do with Supergirl, ladies and gentlemen. What a guy. My rating, again, is a 4.5 out of 10. This is probably going to be the Superman to define a generation, because I'm going to be real with you. The audience was clapping.
That's sad.
People seemed happy about it. They did. Maybe I'm the problem. I can accept that. I know that I'm such a tough nut to crack when it comes to these things. So maybe the problem is me. I'm just being honest with you. I went to a free screening. I was given free popcorn and concessions and all that sort of thing. If I wanted more invites and free I would say nothing but good things about this movie, but I am being honest with you.
Good job, Snarky.
Fantastic Superman is
no more invites for you.
Totally confused
Told you.
Film that treats real world tragedy like meme fuel and can't go 5 minutes without a dog joke. And that's all from me. I've been Snarky J. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more Snarky J, be sure to check.
All right, Snarky. Great job. Great job. Both gave it a similar score. She seemed to like things that I didn't, and I like things that she didn't. You know what I mean? Two different people, but very similar score. You seem to both have thought it was a big piece of trash. James Gunn, that's something you don't do, son. Post the comments down below. Let me know what you all thought. If you enjoyed my thoughts, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. I'm looking at a thumbnail right now. I think Doomcock actually liked it. People I respect actually liked it. Some people I respect actually liked it. It is what it is. People have different tastes. All the goofy stuff, I like silly, but not that silly. 10 million subscribers.